So I don't know about you guys, but oftentimes I get some of my best thinking done while I'm running at the gym. So today I was thinking about an experience that I had yesterday, one that's going to stick with me for a long time. And I realized, maybe I should tell you guys about it because if it's going to stick with me, it might stick with you. So stick around and I'll tell you about the lunch I had with a few friends, including Mr. Montel Williams.
Please hang up and try again.
All right, so yesterday I went to a luncheon with a nonprofit called Addie's USA. And what they do is they raise funds, especially here in Nebraska, in order to help support veterans with PTSD. Maybe not going to the VA and getting help there, but they can fund their PTSD treatment and different things like that. So the luncheon that they had was probably around 300 to 500 people. An anonymous donor gave my group 10 free tickets to go. So they were $50 a ticket. So a good amount of money spent on this on this table of 10 people. 3 Marines and the rest of us Air Force, all out there for this luncheon. And the keynote speaker was Mr. Montel Williams. And that was enough. That was very cool to arrive there and to have a delicious lunch and to listen to him talk about his experience before the military, in the Marines, after the Marines, and all sorts of different things. I loved it, hearing about how he went to the Defense Language Institute the same way that I did. He learned Russian, I learned Chinese. Previous to that, he had already learned Chinese at the Naval Postgraduate School, I think it was that he said. And so learning all that was really interesting to know that somebody as, famous and somebody who I had watched as a kid on television almost every single day was in the same boat that I was, or had been through some of the same experiences that I had. It was pretty cool. Afterwards, we decided to head across the street to the restaurant over in the Hilton. And it just so happened that apparently that's where he was staying as well. So we get into the restaurant and we see Mr. Montel getting ready to sit down. And I didn't want to bother him, but at the same time I wanted to let him know that we were so impressed with everything that he had to say and so grateful that he came out to speak. So showed him my little program and said, hey, we were just over there, we're military, and we greatly appreciate you coming out. I kept looking over and catching his eye, and I thought, if he's here alone, maybe he would want to sit with us. So I invited him over from his table to sit at our little area with us. There were 3 of us, 2 of my coworkers, and then later a gunnery sergeant showed up as well. So Mr. Montel Williams was kind enough to come over to our table and sit with us for probably about an hour. And it was amazing to sit there and to be able to literally shoot the shit with somebody like him. It didn't matter that we were Air Force and he was Marines. Sometimes there's that, that little competition between the forces. It didn't matter that he was famous and we were not. It didn't matter that he was, a man and I am a female. None of that mattered. We were able to reach some common ground talking about mental health, talking about PTSD, talking about service members, veterans who need support, talking about his group, which is Helios Medical Technology, I believe, and if not, I'm going to write that down below. I'll put a link in the description as well. One of the things that he mentioned that really struck home with me, we were talking about how there are times when people feel like maybe they don't deserve to have the mental issues that they have, PTSD for one, that they don't feel like their trauma is good enough. Not just veterans, but people in general. And on the television behind me was the news about the Southwest plane accident that happened, the plane mishap that happened just recently, where a woman was pulled out of the window and the passengers were able to pull her back in, but she later succumbed to her injuries. And he made this really insightful statement that even I hadn't thought of. I think that it's just ingrained in those of us who have suffered from a trauma, that we kind of understand that every single person on that plane is going to suffer from some level of post-traumatic stress. They might not even be on a plane. They might not even be It might be, they might not even know what it is, and it might not be right away. It might be in a few months. But most likely, every single person who is there, the wind is going to change, a sound is going to come up, they're going to hear about another plane mishap on the television, and for a split second or for longer, they are going to suffer from some sort of anxiety or stress or trauma. And that happens in a lot of situations. He even brought up some of the recent school shootings. How whenever there's a school shooting, you know that everybody else who has been through that before is reminded and is thinking about it again and is likely reliving their own trauma. I know for me, every time there is a plane crash, especially a military plane crash, that I see on Facebook or that I hear of in the news, it immediately brings back that initial disbelief and sadness and depression that I felt for the first and the second plane crash that happened within our community. Whenever I hear about a suicide, especially somebody shooting themselves, it brings back some of those similar memories. Post-traumatic stress manifests itself very differently in each person. You don't have to have regular flashbacks. You don't have to have nightmares, but some might. Some might have nightmares, some might have flashbacks, some might smell a smell and not even know that it's what brought them back. Some might see a color or have some sort of sensory recall that brings them back to that emotion. For me, my nightmares are not usually scary, but I feel the panic in very odd situations during that nightmare. Things that shouldn't scare me, things that shouldn't make me angry, make me angry. And it's just that lack of control that's how it manifests in me, at least during my nightmares. I don't have flashbacks, not in the typical sense, I guess. Everybody's different. Anyways, we forget. We forget that things happen and people are going to feel their feelings, and that we need to take care of each other. Those students, even students 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, are going to feel feelings when things like this come up again. When they hear helicopters, when they see the police, different things like that are going to recreate some of those environments and sensations that they had. For people who were on that flight the other day, they're going to feel some sort of way for a very long time, and it makes sense. Those are completely valid, rational feelings, even if it feels irrational and it feels like too much, overwhelming, all of those different things. They need support, need help, and need to feel safe reaching out and doing what they need to do to get back on track where they need to go, because they are forever altered. And I think that one thing that we also forget is that when you are forever altered like that, you can't go about your day in the same way that Amy from 2004 would have gone about everything. This is 2018, and Amy is a completely different person with completely different experiences, and I need to stop trying to fit back into that mold of what was normal 13, 20 years ago. My new normal is my normal, and that's okay. But I think we meet that friction when we're trying so hard to be something that we're not anymore. You're a new person, and it's okay. And you have new experiences that are going to be beneficial to other people. And I know you wish that you didn't. That's another thing, too, is that a lot of times, I don't know, people are grateful when you're able to help them because you've been through something similar. So be out there, be transparent, talk about what you are going through, what you are feeling. It's helpful to feel like you're not alone when you know that other people are feeling some of the same things, that when they see things on the news that they experience some of that same anxiety. It's helpful. And I know, because so many of you guys have reached out to me on Facebook and texting me, messaging me, sending me emails, and letting me know that, you thought that I was not going through these things, that I wasn't, but I was hiding it, I'm just trying to fake my old normal. I'm not anymore. So anyways, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Montel Williams for once again being one more person to let us know that it's okay to feel however it is you feel. And just try not to hide it, because that's when you start to feel that friction. That's when you start to feel that overwhelming sense of crazy, is when you're trying to suppress it because you feel like you're not allowed to feel that feeling. Go for it. It's all yours. Thank you again for taking the time to sit with us, for talking, for all of the different things. Completely amazing. I have a newfound respect. I already did, but now it's above and beyond where it was before. And yeah, I'm very excited. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't like, give me a thumbs down. Please let me know below why you like it or don't like it. I would appreciate it. Any feedback is great feedback. So subscribe if you'd like to see my next one. And thank you very much for dropping by.